So here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you happen to be listening anywhere else and you also would like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. And that is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to jump in here and see what is going on, naturally, as always, I do try to read through as many comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see what is going on. Being joined today by two felines in the room. I don't think you can see them. Maybe you can. I got Miss Kitty and I've got Granny Smith. There's Granny Smith on the floor next to me. And then Miss Kitty is in the doorway there. I don't know what she's doing, but she's in the doorway. And that's about it for the moment as we get ready to jump off. And I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have chosen to chime in so far in the comments section. I see Helter has joined us today, as well as Dragon, Monkey, RL30, and Cyberjack Sr., as well as JJ says, Happy Friday. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Some people get the weekend off. Some people don't know what a weekend is. As we get ready to get going, got some interesting infringement cases. I don't know if I can get to all of them today, but there's always Monday. There's always Monday. And we'll start off here with Karine Jean-Pierre from the Daily Caller article. CNN reporter presses KJP, and of course that's Karine Jean-Pierre, on White House's sudden halt on calling Trump an existential threat once he won the election. Did anyone else notice that? And I see Daryl has joined us. Glad you could make it today. And that's also alluding to the thumbnail that I put up for today's podcast. Suddenly not a threat anymore. Has anyone else caught on to that? Anyone else? So CNN's MJ Lee questioned White House's press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre Thursday on the White House's no longer calling President-elect Trump an existential threat to democracy since he's been elected to serve a non-consecutive second term. And you notice they want to make you understand it's non-consecutive, that 2 terms is the limit, that he can't run a third time now. President Joe Biden, Jean-Pierre, and other members of the Biden-Harris administration accused Trump of being an existential threat to democracy, and that's a quote, and a fascist ahead of the 24 presidential election, but suddenly shifted to paving the way for a peaceful transfer of power once the president-elect defeated Kamala Harris. Jean-Pierre said the White House is respecting the will of the American people, yeah, my ass, and to lead by example by ensuring a peaceful transfer of power. So they're not saying that they were wrong about calling a potential threat to democracy. They're saying they want a peaceful transfer. I think you just don't want to get caught up. I think these people are worried about their careers. I think they never viewed him as an existential threat to democracy, but that was the talking point. And now that he won, they're all like, oh, hell, we better walk that back a little bit, or else we might be having a hard time finding another job. We're probably going to get fired anyways. I'm sure all these people are going to get replaced. Certainly, they're all going to get replaced. JJ says Jean-Pierre is another way to say moron. Okay. Fluke Man is here. He says Trump's going to abolish retired Social Security tax. Does that include private pensions? I'm not sure. But yeah, he's going to get rid of the tax on Social Security, or he's going to try. It shouldn't be. You're already paying for it, and it's already taxed. But yeah, that language has changed. They're bringing it back. Quote, and this is Lee talking. It's been more than 2 weeks since the election. This was an election that elected a man that President Biden has repeatedly referred to as an existential threat. So why is it that the American people have not heard President Biden talk about this threat since the election? Because it was bullshit. I mean, I'm glad she called it out, but it was a load. And this is Jean-Pierre talking. Because this is an election where the American people spoke and the will of the American people were very clear. And so the president is now in a situation where we have to deal with a peaceful transfer of power. We have to respect the will of the American people. And that's what you have been seeing from this president, trying to lead by example to make sure that happens. And that's what the American people deserve. That's what the president deserves. But we are now in a position where he believes he needs to lead by example and show what a peaceful transfer of power looks like. And so that's what you're seeing from this president. I see. Well, first, that's a dig on Trump because of January 6th, the last time around, which wasn't his fault. That's already been demonstrated. That's a dig. But also, don't sit there now and act like you're worried about what the American people think. Talk about leading by example, the American people getting what they deserve. When has that been demonstrated the last 4 years? That suddenly you want to show that? Or is it that you're just scared and you don't want to push, you've already pushed things too far and you don't want to go over the edge here? H12 has joined us, as well as John. He's here for the cats. Did you see the cats? Granny, are you still here? There's Granny Smith. Granny Smith is keeping me company at the moment. She's a sausage, little fat furry sausage. Granny Smith is an interesting story. Monkey says, if you have this in your tabs, but I don't know if you have this in your tabs, but the judge in Trump's New York case sentencing is held off indefinitely. Yeah, we talked about that like a week ago, that he postponed it. He put it off. He's going to keep putting it off because now he's worried. Now he's worried because his position is very political, as is the district attorney. Suddenly they don't want to follow through with it, huh? So much for 34 felony counts. And Brian has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Because they kept pushing that. He's a convicted felon. 34 convictions. And people keep getting that mixed up. 34 counts is not 34 convictions. One conviction, 34 counts. But the counts are how they stack. Anyone who's ever been to court knows what that is. That if he made 10 phone calls and they can tie those 10 phone calls into his indictment, it's 10 counts from each phone call, one for each phone call. Anything they can do. If he got a letter, that's another count. If he talked to somebody, that's another count. That's how they do that. It's stacking. It's how they screw people over in the justice system. If he was so guilty, how come he's not in jail? How come? Oh, we don't want to. Yeah, they were holding out to see what was going to happen at first. And then he won, and now they're like, oh, hell. There goes our careers. The same reason why they're not using the term existential threat to democracy anymore. When they refer to Trump, they're not calling him a fascist anymore either. They're not making references to a dictatorship anymore either. Funny how that works. I thought you really believed it. You didn't? You didn't? It was all just talk? It was all just talk for votes to try to flim-flam the American people again? Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? And meanwhile, while Biden is supposed to be setting this great example for the American people, he hasn't forgotten about his friends in the Ukraine either. Fox News article. Biden administration informs Congress that it will be forgiving $5 billion worth of economic loans to the Ukraine. Just like that. The Biden administration told Congress it plans to cancel $4.65 billion in debt owed by Ukraine, approximately half of an economic loan offered earlier this year. And it's more than this. The title says about 5 billion, that's rounding up. This says 4.65, but they keep adding to it. The last count, I think it was something like 4.74. It keeps gradually increasing. It probably will hit the 5 billion mark. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller confirmed the plans in a briefing on Wednesday. So we have taken the step that was outlined in the law to cancel those loans, provide that economic assistance to Ukraine, he said. In April, Congress passed a supplemental funding package that earmarked $60 billion worth of aid for Ukraine, including $9 billion structured as a loan, with a provision that allowed the administration to forgive it, according to Miller. Miller added that Congress could pass a resolution of disapproval to overturn the cancellation. Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky introduced such a resolution on Wednesday night. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky immediately said he would introduce a resolution to block the measure. So good luck. It says such a resolution is unlikely to pass a Democrat-controlled Senate, and President Biden could veto it. The supplemental funding package gave the administration the power to forgive 50% of the loan, and the remaining 50% could be forgiven after January 2026. So they gave away this year $60 billion to Ukraine, billion dollars, of which $9 billion was a structured loan. So they already don't have to pay $51 billion of it back, apparently. That's what it sounds like. And half of that, more than half of it, they're going to try to forgive and then try to push to forgive the other half later. What's the point? What is the point? On his way out, Joe Biden is trying to forgive, and this is a reiteration, $4.65 billion of debt that Ukraine owes American taxpayers. I just introduced Resolution 224 to stop this, the America Last policy, from taking effect, he posted on X. America Last policy. That's what Biden's been, America Last policy. That's clever wording. I like that. I like that. JJ says, can you say 5 billion like Dr. Evil would? I might do that. Country Living has joined us. He says, thumbs up, everyone. Please do. Fluke Man says, also, if Trump did go to jail, it'll cause the Democrats lots of trouble, and I imagine lots of prisoners repeats him. Brian says, those liberals calling Trump a felon probably think E.T. on the Atari 2600 is a 10 out of 10 game. And here's Jane Spitfire, as well as Savage Lee, joining us here today. Glad you could make it. The Dr. Evil. The $4.65 billion of debt. And that's taxpayer money. And that is the America Last presidency. I wish someone had said that when Trump was running. He could have used it in his campaign ads. He could have used it in his campaigns ads. Biden has also vowed to commit the remaining $7 billion from the supplemental package to Ukraine before Biden leaves office. On Tuesday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced $275 million for Ukraine that would include more drones, artillery, ammunition, and mortars. Trump allies have accused Biden of escalating the war on his way out of the door for politics, for political reasons. I agree, especially after he just authorized the use of American long-range intercontinental missiles to be launched from Ukraine, something that was not previously permitted, that has escalated Russia into warning that they would consider the United States involved if we went that far, or if Ukraine was allowed to do it. Fluke Man said he meant respects Trump. I understand. And DeFumo has joined us. He says, let's go, Brandon. I know, indeed. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go out the door and don't come back. But, in typical fashion, he's going to do as much damage as humanly possible as he leaves. And we're the ones that are going to suffer for it. He's throwing money all over the place. He's trying to push through that student loan forgiveness again. He's dumping money into all sorts of programs that don't need funding. It's too much. He's doing it on purpose. He's being a spoiled brat. Chillin' Dave has joined us, as well as Raccoon. Country says, thank God he's almost out of office. Hopefully he doesn't screw it up so bad Trump can't get us out. I know. Because it's easier to destroy something than it is to fix it, no matter what it is. That's true of all things in life. All things. You destroy a building, you're better off demolishing it than fixing it. You have to build it up from scratch. You ruin your body with poor eating habits and lack of exercise, it could take years to fix, but only months to ruin it. And so on. The country's the same way. So much damage has already been done. So many trillions have been wasted. So many unnecessary laws and regulations. And now he pulls this shit on the way out the door. He pulls this on the way out the door. Fluke Man says, I'm surprised Biden hasn't forgiven Harris's $20 million. I'm not sure he can, especially since most of the money that's missing is salaries that she was supposed to pay to people, but diverted it towards advertising instead, to the tune of more than $1 billion. JJ says the scary thing is if Biden is going to get us into a world war before Trump can even get into the office. And Vulgar says Biden needs to go on a beach and forget he even exists. As I catch up a couple of comments and then we'll move on. Monkey says this example is why, as you said, the moment the company fires the employee, they're escorted out as soon as possible so they don't make a major mess. Exactly. And people do. They'll sabotage the job. They'll sabotage the other employee. God forbid they work in tech. They change the codes and key cards as soon as anyone's fired from the computer department in any company, because they'll go in there and ruin everything. People are evil. They really are. DeFumo says, speaking of as much damage as he can, what do you think about Biden giving the green light to Ukraine to middle attack Russia and the new policy Vlad put out? Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Suddenly he's going to authorize that, and it's American-made weapons. And you already know Putin has warned us about that previously. So they haven't done it yet, but if they do, all I can say is I hope that Putin is willing to sit on his hands until January 20th, because he knows it's a very different story dealing with Trump than dealing with Biden. And Putin honestly strikes me as the type of person that's willing to play the long game. He may have already been in contact with Trump. Hey, listen, I see what old boy is trying to do there. I'll wait. I'll wait. That's all you can ask for, because I'm sure Trump wants to get us the hell out of all of that. Cyberjack says, except Project Genesis. Project Genesis from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And Puck is here. He says, distracted by the $6.2 million banana. Hey, I've got that story pulled up. I want to talk about that in a little bit. Vulgar says $170 billion to NATO from the United States, $20 billion from all of Europe. And another reason why Trump wants to get us away from NATO. Raccoon says if Biden starts a war before Trump gets in and Trump quickly ends the war, it'll make Trump more like a savior. One more here, and we'll open the next article. Savage says Biden is almost 2 months to leave Trump a scorched earth, politically speaking. And that's something that Sun Tzu talked about. If anyone here has read The Art of War, from Sun Tzu, some leaders, some kings, some emperors are willing to destroy everything they have in order to rule over the ashes. And Daniel is here. He says, be nimble. Change is inevitable. Yeah, inevitable, like Smith from The Matrix. And we're going to go to Newser here. I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to throw this out here, talking about corruption a little bit. I often do. I often do bring up stories about corruption. Again, Newser article, another Forbes 30 under 30 is arrested. And this is Joanna Smith Griffin. Joanna Smith Griffin, who she makes me think of Mama Cass from the Mamas and the Papas. Looking at this picture, obviously she's darker, but she makes me think of Mama Cass. You know, she hated being called Mama Cass. Cass was good enough for her, but she was stuck with that moniker. Anyways, a tech entrepreneur featured on a Forbes 30 under 30 list in 2021 could be facing more than 40 years in prison. Joanna Smith Griffin, 33, has been charged with securities fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, according to Quartz reports. Smith Griffin founded the artificial intelligence startup All Here Education. Federal prosecutors say that Smith Griffin, who was arrested in North Carolina on Tuesday, lied to investors about the company's revenue and contracts. She allegedly sold some of her stake in the company after its valuation went up and used the proceeds to pay for her wedding and a new house. She got married. Okay. Money talks and bullshit walks. In 2021, Smith Griffin told investors the company had generated $3.7 million in revenue in 2020, when the real figure was $11,000. Holy crap. She also falsely claimed that 8 school districts, including New York City Department of Education and the Atlanta Public Schools, were using her company's technology. Only 2 districts were using All Here technology at the time, and New York and Atlanta were not one of them. I love it. But what's interesting about this is that often the Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneurs that they showcase, they end up going to prison for fraud. And that's what they're talking about from this particular list of 30 under 30, which was the 2021 list that Smith Griffin was on. She's like the 6th one to go to prison. I think 5 or 6. Let me see here. I think it's down here. It says, so you got Smith Griffin, Sam Bankman-Fried, Charles Jarvis, Martin Scanelli, and Carolyn Ellison is on the list of 30 under 30 picks that are all imprisoned or indicted. Oh, no. So that's 5. That's 5 from the 2021 list. There are others from other lists. That's 1/6 of their list. I love it. Vulgar says Art of War is one of the best books ever written. Yeah, and The Prince. People should read The Prince also by Machiavelli. If you really want to understand politics. DeFumo says, does this make me sound bad? But it seems like Putin being the voice of reason, maybe even the good guy. Yeah, honestly, nobody really knows, and we're not allowed to talk about it. Nobody really knows what the hell's going on over there or why. And way back when this started, and it's been, we're around getting close to the 3-year mark now, right? I was warned, as were other people on ScrewTube by the Google overlords. Do not talk about anything that doesn't follow the narrative that comes from the White House press corps, or we'll delete all of your accounts. So, yeah, we don't know what the truth is out here. Savage says, didn't Putin vote himself president for life, or was that the China guy, Xi Jinping? I think that's Xi Jinping. Putin gets elected, but, that doesn't mean that they're honest elections. Puck says, I'm betting Trump and Putin have an understanding. These weapons being used are ineffective against Russia anyway. Yeah, I'm sure they've gotten something figured out. JD says, yeah, they go to prison, but it's not the same as any of us going to prison, and they almost always get to keep most of that money. JJ says that begs the question, what does it take to get on this list? I know. And also, draws your eye as to how many of these entrepreneurs are so crooked. They're crooked. She made 11,000, told investors she made 3.7 million, took in a crap ton of money for it and spent it on herself. Must be nice. Must be nice. I'm telling you, I'm in the wrong line of work. I'm in the wrong line of work. I may as well go ahead and hit up the banana here really quickly since it was already mentioned, and then we'll move on to more corruption. Okay. More corruption. Brian says, I see the ads on the right of the screen, have been watching on you. I don't know. I don't even paying attention to the ads. I don't know what they are. And they're almost always things that I don't care about anyways. Like this one that's an ad for Legos. I don't have any Legos. I don't look for Legos. Why am I getting an ad for Legos? I thought AI was so freaking smart. And Chillin says freedom of speech. Yes, it's free if you agree with them. Yeah, you're free to say whatever we tell you is all right to talk about, is what it comes down to basically. What it comes down to basically. So here we go. USA Today article, and this is the banana in the room. A banana duct taped to a wall sold for $6.2 million at a Sotheby's art auction. And there it is. Isn't it magnificent? It's very evenly duct taped, though. He did a good job putting it up. It says Mario Catalan's art installation, Comedian, sold at auction on Sotheby's in New York on Wednesday, purchased by a Chinese cryptocurrency entrepreneur, a Bitcoin whale, for approximately $6.2 million. The final sale was roughly 4 times the estimated value, which Sotheby listed between 1 and 1.5 million. Are you shitting me? Sotheby's described the artwork as passionately debated, rhapsodolically venerated, and hotly contested. Yeah, that could mean anything. You could say that about a stick of gum. Okay, so at the auction, Comedian went from an $800,000 starting price to $5.2 million plus the buyer's premium by the time it's sold, which is where you get 6.2 from, because I think Sotheby's, they charge a 20% buyer's premium, right? I'm trying to remember. I don't want to do the math either. This is literally, though, an actual banana. It's not even like a fake or sculpted or plastic banana. He bought a real banana from a supermarket and duct taped it to the wall. And yeah, DeFumo says Banana Gate. Yeah. And Brian says there's the vintage Barbie toy. There's a Barbie toy ad on here? Oh, yeah, there is. I don't know why that's there either. I don't buy Barbies. It's just, yeah, the ads don't make any damn sense. JJ says this is why I have no respect for modern art. Jane says, is it a fake banana? No, it's a real one. And yes, it will rot. JD says art sales are how criminals move money in and out of the country. Thank you, JD. That's where I'm going with this. That whole thing looks like something that needs to be investigated because it reeks of money laundering. Blatant. Millions. And the guy didn't even try. He taped a banana to a board. He didn't even try. I mean, at least fake it. At least Hunter Biden actually painted some crappy canvases. They don't look good, but at least he painted them. You know, try to be clever about it. This guy didn't even put in any effort. DeFumo says, comment of the year, does the banana include the wall? Yeah, good question. Good question. Helter says collectors hire their own appraisers to determine the value of art that they donate so they can use it as a big tax dodge. And Nash says sounds fishy. Absolutely, Nash. That sort of thing, that's like if you go through Amazon or eBay, if you're looking for certain items and you set it to look for the highest price first, and you'll find like a magazine or something for like $80,000, and you know it's worth like three. That's got to be money laundering. That's got to be it. H12 thinks the buyer is going to eat the banana. I have no idea. Puck says Hunter Biden is also a legitimate artist. Well, technically, he did paint the paintings, so far as we know. But that doesn't mean they're good, and that doesn't mean they're worth what was paid for them. It's a form of money laundering. There you go. So, yeah, this is insane. Vulgar says maybe it's God level trolling. Sold a $6.2 million banana. Look at the idiocracy. God level trolling. And there's Nostalgic Pod Blast. Please do check out Nostalgic Pod Blast. That is Chance, and Chance is actually the program director from fistfulofradio.com, where you can find me Monday through Friday. And he has other content on there also that you may find interesting, so take a look. It makes me think of Banksy. And there's another artist, and Banksy sold some work that he did was selling for some insane amount of money, and some other artist purchased it and said he was going to paint over it and sell it again to protest the high price of the art market. But you were the one that made the highest bid, which was well over $1 million, and then you're going to paint on it and try to sell it again. So what exactly are you trying to protest? I'm a little confused. And Puck says Hillary got a $50 million advance for a book no one read. Yeah, that's another way. A lot of politicians, a lot of TV or televangelists, the big ones like TD Jakes, TD Fakes, and individuals like that. That's how they launder money, is with those fake book sales. I don't trust that at all. I don't trust it. I don't believe in it. It's like the Clinton diaries. Nobody wants to read that shit. Nobody cares. Corruption time. And I've got a lot. I've got more today from an reason. Justice Department orders DEA to halt airport searches because of significant issues with cash seizures. And I actually have a clip. I'm pretty sure. I'll read the article real quick, and I'll show you the video clip that caused this, because the person that was being harassed by the DEA at the airport, social media influencer apparently, and filmed the whole damn thing. As I catch up here, Jericho says this is like the people who buy and sell their own property in the VR world. So here we go. The Justice Department has ordered the Drug Enforcement Administration to suspend most searches of passengers at airports and other mass transit hubs after an independent investigation found the DEA task forces weren't documenting searches and weren't properly trained, creating a significant risk of constitutional violations and lawsuits. The Deputy Attorney General directed the DEA on November 12th to halt what are known as consensual encounters. Oh, please. It's not consensual if you have no choice. Searches at airports unless they're part of an existing investigation into a criminal network, after seeing the draft of a Justice Department Office of Inspector General's memorandum that outlined a decade's worth of significant concerns about how the DEA used paired airline informants and loose criteria to flag passengers to search for drugs and cash. And this dives down into the whole realm of the concept of asset forfeiture, because these agents, just like the sheriffs and state troopers who pull over motorists, know if I'm in like Florida for vacation and I'm from Ohio, and you pull me over in my rental car and you take my $300 and you cite it on the ticket as making sure that I can't use it for a drug purchase and earmark it for asset forfeiture, Odds are when I go back home, I'm not going to fly back and forth from Ohio to Florida 100 times to find attorneys, to go to court, to miss court dates or have court dates changed, to get an apology and my $300 back. That's not going to happen. Nobody's going to pursue it unless it's a massive amount of money. And that's dirty. It's really dirty that happens all over the country. You know, there are people, just because you have cash on you doesn't mean you're going to buy drugs. I get so sick and tired of that shit from the whole concept of asset forfeiture, which is in most states. And the airport does it too. The airport does it too. Okay. The thing that gets me is I go to a lot of conventions, hobby related conventions. For example, not too long ago, I was just at a record convention. Okay. Buying albums. There are people there with lots of money, lots of cash. There was one guy there that was looking for sealed copies of vintage Beatles albums, and he was buying, and I'm talking spending $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 in cash on a record. So if he gets pulled over, they're going to take his cash so he can't do a drug deal, and then he's got to go to court to get it back, right? The guy's buying records. Leave him the hell alone. Most people are not out driving around with cash because they're looking to buy crack. All right? Vulgar Display says, found out last night that adrenochrome can be purchased online. Where are they getting it from? Where are the 300,000 missing children? Nobody knows where they are. We talked about that one a few times. And JD says law enforcement in Texas are notorious for this. Jane says, oh my daughter drove back to Florida and was speeding 15 miles. Her speeding ticket was $12.50. 15 miles over the limit. Did they charge her with reckless endangerment? That's how they get a ticket that big. And Defumo says, does Texas have asset forfeiture? I think they do. I think they do. Flukeman says, doesn't U.S. Customs allow passengers to have a certain amount of cash, no questions asked? That I'm not sure about. I think there is a cap of 10,000. I could be wrong about that. I do know Customs is a bitch. When my wife and I were on a cruise a million years ago, when I had the money for such a thing, back when I had a set sail from Bedrock, when we came back through, we got searched because I had nothing to declare, basically, because we don't buy junk and trinkets and whatever. So when they came through, they asked if we had anything to declare. We told them no, and they asked us to step into the side room. And we went in the side room, and they had our luggage, and they tore it to shit. They pulled it all apart looking for whatever they thought they were going to find. There was nothing there. And I'm thinking to myself, how much does it cost to have people do this to citizens coming back from a vacation? To find what? Because I guarantee you that 1 out of 10,000 people doesn't have contraband. How much does that cost? How much tax money does it cost to terrorize people like this? Seriously. We had nothing. And then, oh yeah, you can go. Gee, thanks. Thanks for that. And Puck says we live under a soft tyranny. Jane says not charged with reckless, but she got an attorney. I think it's because she was from Florida and caught in a Georgia highway. Oh, they love doing it when you're out of state. And Puck says you have to declare anything over 10,000. Okay. Now, here's the truth about why this is suddenly coming up with the DA. I've got the video clip here, and I'm going to show you. And we can view this, and we'll talk about it a little bit. And hopefully the sound comes out right. And if it doesn't, let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. This is the video that started it all. This is the video that started it all. Here it comes, okay? So we can see this now. And let me know if there's a problem with audio.
And then you can walk on the plane. You can do that.
No, you're not with the, what do you call it? I've seen these like videos on YouTube. You're not with the...
I'm the DEA. I'm the government.
That's great. Do you have like legal ability to search it
Yes,
right now?
yeah. Well,
Okay.
Not you, man, but your bag. Yes, sir. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Let me call somebody. Jeez Louise. Why are you so angry?
I'm not angry. I just want my rights to be respected. That's all.
I just told you you can walk on, but you can set your bag down. And we'll just have a dog.
Or else you're gonna. Am I being detained right now?
Not you, but your
Am
bag.
I free to go?
Not your bag. I've told you like
I'm gonna
20
walk
times.
now.
You can't do that.
Oh, that's my. Hey,
Now this guy is getting on the plane. Okay, everybody says audio's good. All right. This guy's getting on the plane. Now what they didn't realize, he is filming and they know he's filming, and the guy is going to tell him in a moment, I don't care if you're filming. I don't give a shit what you're doing, because he has the legal right. When you're in an airport, you have no rights. People don't realize how little freedom they have until somebody gets in their way. Okay? That's a DEA agent on the plane doing a random search, because they can do that. They can just randomly come up to anybody and say, give me your bags. And he's like, am I being detained? I mean, what the hell's going on? And he was like, and why are you angry? Why are you resisting me? You're free to go. Go ahead and get on the plane, but your bags are staying here. They're going to search his bags. And he was like, why? What the hell's going on? Dude doesn't understand, but he's got this video, and this is the reason why. Now, continuing here.
Where's your bag at?
I don't consent to search, sir.
You don't have to consent. Where's your backpack at? Where is it? Under your seat?
It got put away, but I'm consent to being searched.
I don't care
so
what your
this
consent
is.
stuff. I don't really care about your phone recording. Get your backpack. You want to watch the dog?
Yes,
you want
please.
To sit in your seat?
I would like to watch
Well,
the
then
dog.
come out. Up to you.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just don't like being searched.
You're not trying to be a jerk.
No, I just.
You might be
I don't
the
know who
biggest
you are.
jerk.
Hold on.
Jordan's sore nose let out a fire knees, so Dad grabbed Puffs Plus lotion to soothe her.
I've ever met up here, honestly.
That's fair, dude. But like, I just don't. I know my rights on
you
this
know
one.
what we do?
I know what you do. I respect you
You said you
guys.
watch videos.
I do.
So when you buy a last minute ticket, since you're recording, that way you guys you can share this all
Business
over the
traveler.
world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you buy a last minute ticket,
Yeah.
we get alerts. We come out to any and all flights. Doesn't matter who you are, race, sex, nothing, right?
Yeah.
We come out and we talk to those people, which I tried to do to you, but you wouldn't allow me to do it.
Again,
I asked you for your ID.
Now, that's not true. He did not refuse to talk to this person. He just asked what was going on.
You refused to put your ID out, okay?
I just don't consent to
Which
being
is
searched.
that's cool, man. Whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Your belongings, like I told you on the recording, you were free to walk on the plane.
My belongings are also part of my rights, too.
Your body.
Am I
which
am I
smells.
under suspicion of a crime right now? Do you have probable cause?
So we have a lot of money and drugs going out of every airport
Understood.
to New York.
Okay.
That's a lie, too. This is not like the 1970s with people taping heroin to their stomachs underneath their clothes to sneak it into the country, okay? That kind of shit doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I'm sure that people do occasionally try to get something through, but what you're talking about here is punishing God knows how many hundreds of thousands of travelers every year to try to catch one or two people smuggling. It's an overreach of authority. This guy has not resisted. He's asking questions, and the officer is irate because he's asking questions. Why are you giving me a hard time? He's probably surprised, actually. He's very likely not accustomed to this kind of resistance, but because this guy is putting this video up, he feels confident in pushing back. Most people are scared. They're scared, and so they'll let you walk all over them, basically. And Tuck has joined us. I know I'm way behind on here. Brian says police are tools of the government to control us. People really can't see that. No, most can't. And that is the difference between a true police and law enforcement. Law enforcement, that's a whole different animal. Nature Nerd says, what an ass abusing his power by searching anyone. He has permission to do it. It's not illegal. It's not illegal at all. Let me catch up a few more here. Fluke Man says, give it a few months. Everyone will forget about this, and the DEA and TSA will go back to stealing. And Nature Nerd says, the pretext of drugs to treat innocent people like dirt. Like I said, you will cause 100,000 people to suffer to pretend to make an example out of one. It's just like gun laws. It's the same thing with gun laws. You're going to make all these heavy-handed rules and regulations and fees and everything else to protect the community from the one or two random people that are going to do whatever they're going to do anyways, no matter what rules or laws you have. Meanwhile, everyone else who's law abiding has to suffer as a result. Again, laws are for the law abiding because criminals don't follow those rules. Puck says it's a racket like what you see in Mexico or a third world country involving government agents. At least them you can pay off. DeFumo says, so what if I just told him no, grab my stuff and left the airport? I'm asking because I seriously want to know how far they can take this. Once you're in the airport, your luggage isn't yours until they give it back. So he's in there. That's why he said, leave, get on the plane, do whatever you're going to do, but your bag is staying here until we're done with it. So yeah, you couldn't just leave, DeFumo. I'm sorry. You could leave, but your bag's not going with you. They're not going to allow that at this point. Let me see if there's any more here that's important.
It's an influx of it.
Okay.
So that's
am I being suspected of a crime? I just want this to be reported.
I don't know.
Do you have probable cause for a search?
I have probable cause for a dog to walk up and smell your bag. Yes.
My lawyers are going to be taking this up with you.
You didn't take your bag off like I asked you to.
There we go. There's
See that? You got to record it. Don't edit that part out of the video either.
No,
so he sat on your bag. We would ask you if we can search your bag to make sure there is no money. The dog gets alerted. He alerts the money, drugs, and weapons. Okay? He sat on your bag, which you recorded.
I saw him run past.
Can we? He's got to get. That's what they do. Okay. Are you a canine handler?
I'm not a canine.
Do you know anything about canines?
I've watched him in training stable. Okay.
So he alerted on your bag.
Okay.
Now this is your legal right. You can allow us to look at it, or you can tell me no, and we can write a search warrant. We can apply for one. I don't know if we'll get one or not, but we'll apply.
I don't consent to being searched.
So you don't want us to search your bag either?
Don't consent to be searched.
Okay. All right. Well, then we got to take your bag back. So do you want to sit with us at the PD while we try to get a warrant on your bag today?
I respect you, sir.
We're within our rights, or I wouldn't do what I did.
Okay.
I've been doing.
Now, for clarification, what just happened was that the because the dog sat next to the bag, they are under the impression that there might be something of interest in the bag now. And he said that you can consent for us to search your bag or we can get a warrant. And he was like, and dude is still being defiant. He says, no, I don't want you to get a warrant. I don't consent. I don't consent to it. Go ahead and get a warrant. But here's the idea that now he has to sit around all day and miss his flight in order to wait for them to get a warrant. Brian says the poor dog, they messed with his head. And very often, a lot of times these dogs will react to the temperament in the room. Okay? They'll react to the temperament in the room. Raccoon says refusing makes him look guilty, though. Yeah, I know. And JD says docs the DEA agent. But this is, that's really the problem. And I'm just looking through here really quickly, looking ahead. It looks like nothing came of it. He refused to sign anything, which you should always refuse to sign anything without an attorney present. This guy is going on here. Complaining the TSA has now searched my bag, and the agent is reassuring him. He was like, "It's nothing we've done is illegal. We've been doing this across. Would we be doing this across the country if it was illegal? Of course, it's not illegal. They have the legal right to do that because we have no rights. We have no rights." People don't realize until they're confronted with something like this, and then it's like, holy shit, really? Especially in places like an airport, a public school, anywhere near a government building, a hospital. If you're admitted to a hospital, see how many rights you have. You'd be surprised what they can do to you. Puck says TSA rummaged through my 2 beer coolers on my way back from Colorado. They didn't drink any, but there was TSA tape all over the coolers. Wow. DeFumo says, do you think the next president's office is going to do anything about stuff like this or ignore it because of how aggressive their stand is on the literal drug war they will be involved in? Yeah, and I hope my question made sense. I understand what you're saying. That it needs to be walked back because the people who are actually involved in stuff like that are not the ones being punished here. We're all being punished. We're being punished for the actions of a minority. And the whole war on drugs from day one was a scam anyways. All it has done is hold back the American people and penalize the American people. If I go to the bank and take out X amount of money, I shouldn't have to fill out a form for the IRS explaining what I'm doing with it. That's my money, right? Mind your freaking business. They eliminated currency. There used to be larger denominations. Some of you are old enough to remember when there were bills larger than 100. A $500 bill, a $1,000 bill, a $5,000 bill, a $10,000 bill. All of that was eliminated to stop drug dealers. They weren't using them. They weren't using them. Limiting what you could take out of your bank without paperwork. Limiting what you can transport as far as cash. You don't know what I'm doing with my cash. Maybe I'm going to buy somebody's motorcycle with cash and I need $12,000. Mind your business. How's that fighting the war on drugs? JJ says the dog will also sit when they tell him to. Yeah. They often will react to the handler. These guys are already upset because dude is resisting and very likely missed his flight while they got a warrant. They did that on purpose. Nature Nerd says by 2025, Americans will have to extend passports to fly to other states within the U.S. Oh, God. While millions have crossed the U.S. border illegally, just like a communist country. Hopefully not by next year. And maybe if Biden stayed in office. JD says the DEA searches are just theater. They get notified ahead of time who has drugs and they're told not to search them. Puck says CIA transports the cartel's cash. That's what was going on when Clinton was the governor of Arkansas and those 3 boys were murdered. Nature Nerd says, what's the point of the U.S. free travel if you have to have an extended passport on planes? Yeah, and I wouldn't even want to go to the airport anymore because of things like this. It's bad enough you got to go through the checkpoints, that you have to go through the whole TSA nonsense and get in the booth or whatever else you have to do. I've told you before, when I had, it's been a long time since I've been to an airport. Every time I went with my wife, again, she's black, they always pull her aside and check her hair. And she's natural. She doesn't have wigs and extensions and bullshit. You know, what do you want to look at her hair for? What do you think that she's from the Hanna-Barbera Globetrotters cartoon? Who remembers that cartoon? That's an old one. I'm reaching there. That's from the late 60s. And they had superpowers, and one of them would reach in his afro and pull things out. Like if he needed a ladder, he could pull it out of his afro, or a bicycle. Crazy stuff. Jane says, do they all do this on the Amtrak trains? I don't know. I haven't been on a train in longer than I've been to the airport. It's been longer since I've been on a plane. Or longer since I've been on a train, rather. I got that backwards. But the last time I rode at Amtrak, there was no search of any kind. You just got your ticket and got on the freaking train. Jack says Patriot Act destroyed privacy. True. Nature Nerd says pat down at the airport is harassment. I agree. Unless you have probable cause, there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. And when 9/11 happened, the reason they got on those planes with those weapons was because they were not properly searched at the time. They set off metal detectors, but they didn't check them. They had like those big old Texas belt buckles or some crap on, and there was the razor, the box cutter knife was hidden behind it. So if the regular guard at the time when the detectives were set off had done his damn job and said, "Would you mind taking your belt off, sir?" Wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have happened. And then they're incompetent anyways. I've told my story before about when I got cut at the airport. Something cut me when I was coming through. You know, I went through the scan and I'm waiting for my bag to come, and something nicked my finger. It was like right here. And I'm like, what the hell? How did that happen? Touched the edge of something. And I'm like, hey, something cut me. I'm bleeding. You got a first aid kit? They couldn't find one. And all these agents are coming out and they're on their radios. They're like, yeah, somebody's here bleeding and, you know, whatever. You don't know where a first aid kit is? It's an airport. This is Georgia. The International Airport in Atlanta. Couldn't find a first aid kit. Finally, after like 10 minutes, somebody comes out and hands me a roll of paper towels. I kid you not. Oh, man. These people. But that is absolute harassment. And I've got a few more. I just don't have time for it. I don't have time for it, unfortunately. But we'll get to it Monday. I've got a few more overreaches of government authority that are really, really disheartening. Disheartening, and it's a wake-up call to anyone who thinks we're free. You have privileges, and they can and will take them. DeFumo says at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff they do in the airports and everywhere else is because the American people are letting them take the rights away for the sake of safety and security. That's right. And if you give up freedom for safety and security, you deserve neither. You deserve neither of those. And Jane says maybe Cop City Hero will be an advantage and help cops securely learn better methods, perhaps. Primarily, it's supposed to be for training firefighters. It's supposed to be for training firefighters. And I'll leave you off with some good news. I'll leave you off with some good news because I know that's all a kick in the teeth. I'll open up one more real quick while we have a couple of minutes because there isn't too much to read here, but I'm sure you'll appreciate it. And this is a New York Post article. Somebody took the bait. All these people that promised they would leave if Trump got elected, guess what? Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, are moving to England after Trump's election, and they say they're never coming back. Bye. Bye. Bon voyage. Bon voyage. Good riddance to bad medicine. She's retired anyway, so who cares? She's got nothing here anymore. No one likes her anyways. Nobody likes her anyways. Her career is done. She's been exposed for being a fraud, that she is downright evil to people. She's evil to people and treats people like garbage. She's got nothing here anymore. She may as well just retire and go to another country. Go your ass to the United Kingdom and stay there too with your little girlfriend. Oh, excuse me, wife. Boy, she really does look like the man in the relationship. Actually, that looks like a daughter and her dad in that picture. Like, come on, Grandpa, especially with her leaning like that, like she's falling over, like she's catching Joe Biden from tripping over a cable there. Come on now, Dad. We're going back to the home now. Visit's over. Oh, man. Puck says two postmenopausal lesbians are fearful about losing their abortion rights. I know it. God, let me catch these up real quick. DeFumo says, as a Birmingham boy, we don't want you. I don't blame you. Nature Nerd says she'll have to pay that expatriate tax. That would be nice. That would be nice. I mean, there's no point in even reading this, but yeah, sources say that the duo decided to, quote, get the hell out of the country immediately following the president-elect's victory over Harris, and it left them feeling very disillusioned, especially after having donated money to the Harris campaign. Aw, you lost your shirts. No, I doubt that. I doubt they even donated all that much. See, doesn't that look like a daughter with her dad? Especially since they have like the same nose. Oh man. Oh, I can't help it. I can't help it. The shocking part is that she didn't win. They can't take it. They can't take it. Go. Bye. Bye. You're not hurting us. We want you to go. I'm sorry we got to dump you on our distant cousins in the United Kingdom. You know, sorry about that. Sorry about that down there, chums. Too bad there isn't an exclusive island we could send them all to. Kind of like how Australia started for undesirables. We'll dump them all in Australia. It's an island. It's in the middle of nowhere. No one gives a crap about them. Puck says maybe Trump should put a tariff on if they try to come back. I think they should stay where they should be discouraged from ever returning. Please don't come back. Anyways, with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and sign off. Actually, I'm past time. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. Come here, darling. Granny Smith, everyone. There's Granny. There's my darling Granny Smith, the apple of my eye. How are you, baby? You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Thank you, everyone who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will see you again.